Namah Shivaya, and welcome to meditation again today. I'm Austin, and for the past couple of days I started out talking about free will and the idea of free will, and then the difference, how free will is limited when the concept of sin is applied, and that when the concept of karma is applied, then the spectrum of variations of what is possible within free will changes drastically. It opens up a lot. Today, I want to continue talking on this same thread, but investigate a little bit more of karma. Probably I've mentioned at different points about the structure of karma that, while we sometimes apply that there's good karma and bad karma. And I wanted to address this concept because I was even taught that when I first started practicing yoga, that there was good karma and bad karma. But in reality, and I said this the other day, you can't, your karmic actions may be good for someone, but somebody else they may not be good for. And the other day, when I talked about this, I spoke about industrial farming, mainly because that has something to do with the focus of the month. It's very tangible. But when we look at how this understanding of karma was taught thousands of years ago within the yoga tradition, we can look toward the Mahabharata, which is the epic tale of India. And for those of you who are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters within the Mahabharata, which is like, it's epic. It's like War and Peace. It's like, a couple of books to tell the tale of this family situation. Most of us in the West are familiar with kind of the situation where in the middle of the Mahabharata of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna and Arjuna are on the battlefield, and Sanjaya is telling the blind king what's happening, and Lord Krishna gives the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna to help Arjuna kind of calm his mind, understand Dharma, understand what it means to be a yogi, and to take action. But then, for most of us, that's kind of the extent of what we know in the West about the tale and what happens after the Bhagavad Gita is given. Most spiritual traditions in America and Europe that focus on the Bhagavad Gita as a foundation of yoga teachings, they don't incorporate the Mahabharata, which is a huge mistake. It's a huge mistake because, if we're talking about the discussion of action and karma, the action doesn't stop after Krishna gives the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, it continues on for many, many years. And these actions that take place on the battlefield before and after the Gita is given continue to play out. They continue that rippling effect. So you have to kind of know, the whole epic tale to understand the middle of this one book inside the book. So after after Krishna gives Arjuna the Bhagavad Gita and explains to him what his dharma is, and gives him and says, you have choices, Arjuna, you can fight or not fight, but this is what's going to happen if you fight, and this is what's going to happen if you don't fight. So pick what you want to do and let's do it. And so Arjuna decides that he should fight, that's what his dharma is, that he should go into battle, and there's this battle goes on for several days, and the Pandavas, Arjuna and his four brothers, they are victorious, and the Kauravas, the opposite side on the battlefield, Arjuna's cousins, which there's I think maybe 100 of them. I may be mistaken about that number. They all die. All of them are annihilated. So what Arjuna has been told by Krishna, which is do your dharma, because the ruling family, the Kauravas, are not going to be good for the totality of everybody. If you don't fight this battle, many other people are going to suffer. And you are a warrior class, and you are heir to the throne, and you will choose to uphold dharma instead of just do things for your personal benefits and ego. And so the action that takes place is good for the nation. However, after the battle is over, out comes Gandhara, who is the mother of the Kauravas. And like any mother, right? Imagine whether your children are arrogant, egocentric, selfish beings or not, you're still their mother, right? You still have that mother's love for them. And she walks out and she realizes that every child she's ever had, they're dead. And she doesn't mourn in a sorrowful way. She's filled with anger and rage that Krishna didn't allow for one of her children to at least live, that he felt the need to annihilate the entire clan. And at that point, with the mother's rage, with the rage of what you can imagine a mother would have who's lost all of her children, she turns to Krishna and she says, "This is your fault. You convinced him to fight. He was going to walk off the battlefield, and now all my children are dead." And she said, "I curse you. I curse you. Your kingdom will fall. All your children will die, and there will be nothing left of what you've created, and you will die at the hands of a commoner." And and so we have to think for a moment, like here again, who is Krishna in this story? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God in flesh. So Krishna has the power to kind of say, I'm going to blow off your curse. I'm going to change it. I'm not even going to accept it. Poof, by the wave of my hand, your curse has been blocked. He doesn't do that. He actually accepts the curse that she's put on him, because he knows that because he's in flesh at that moment, that he's not even above the law of karma. And that while he did something that was good for the majority, there was still Gandhara, the mother of the Kauravas, that this was not good for. And he accepts that. He accepts that there's no way to do absolute good karma or absolute bad karma. That karma has many different colors. And while Gandhara and her husband and a few people who are left, they're a minority, the killing of 100 relatives and children is just not a positive outcome. So he accepts the mother's curse. He embraces the results of his karmic actions, and what she predicts comes true. His kingdom is attacked. It's moved. Finally, they're kind of isolated. His children, one by one, and he's got many children. Krishna's got many children because he has many wives. They die. There's no one there to take the throne in line of succession. His lineage dies out, and finally, on a hunting trip, Krishna is killed by a commoner who mistakes his big toe for a boar. And there's some symbolic meaning there, some spiritual symbolic meaning, the right big toe being the sign of liberation, and so the hunter shooting an arrow into Krishna's right big toe actually symbolizes this ability that Krishna is not the mind, he's not the body, he's not trapped in the body anymore, he's liberated. But he does die at the hands of just a common hunter, a villager, or even, I think maybe not even be a villager, he's like a jungle dweller. It's a wonderful ending of the explanation of, like, is there good or bad karma? And the answer is no, there's just action and there's reactions to it. And the only way that the yogi deals with it different from an ordinary person who doesn't practice yoga is that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna more than once reminds Arjuna to eliminate his attachment to the fruits of action. He says, don't attach yourself to what's going to take place. Don't see it as negative. Don't see it as positive. Don't expect any rewards from it. Detach yourself from the fruits of your actions and give the fruits of the actions to me or to the divine, right? Because we're talking about the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita, we're talking about Krishna as the form of God. But if that's not a form of the divine for you, you would just give your actions to the supreme, the absolute, the eternal, that you're not expecting anything from it. That's hard. That's a big leap. Why? Because everything Westerners do, especially, not just Westerners, but because I'm an American, I a lot of times I will speak from that point of view. We will see people do good deeds, and they will tell people what good deeds they did. They will want to be acknowledged for their good deeds. They will want, everything from, a piece of paper so that they can get money off of their federal and state taxes to, a plaque that says that they donated, that they gave, that they made effort. And this is wanting fruit from the action. This is wanting somebody to acknowledge you for the good that you did. And in the case of understanding that there is no good or bad action of karma, that you can't determine the long-term outcome of it. You have to kind of like just say, I don't expect anything from my actions. I relinquish that. I just give it to you, God. And then at that point, it goes into that cycle where you have said, God, you're the ultimate doer. I did talk about free will. I talked about the idea that God is the doer on a universal level, that God is not managing everything you're doing, that you're not a puppet on a string, that you're not just a leaf in the wind. But when it but the interesting thing about the tradition of yoga is the tradition of yoga sees things going in a circle instead of linear, right? This is very like Greek, Abrahamic, Roman concept of time and spirituality, very linear, where there's a beginning and an end. But in yoga, the tradition is seen always circular, that there's no break. And so you spend time understanding free will. You spend time understanding karma, and then you understand surrender and just giving the efforts back to the divine, saying, you are the ultimate doer, because I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not going to attach myself to these actions, I'm not going to attach myself to these fruits, and at some point I will be dust, and I will be part of the universe, and I will be part of the ultimate doing of the doer himself. So that is how we have to understand karma, is that karma is a rainbow of colors. It's light being seen through the prism and shooting out in all directions, and it can take many forms. While we want to do things that appear to uplift those around us, there may be somebody in the minority it does not. And we have to accept that. And then we have to accept that once we take action, that there are going to be reactions to that action. And the surrender to that is part of the practice. Is part of the practice. Taking a moment and just establishing your seat. And this is like the greatest karmic action you can take, is to connect to that source within you of divinity. And so this allows you to surrender the fruits of the actions. Now, I've been teaching you this mantra of Om these past 7 weeks, mainly because Om is the pranava, right? It's the essential of divinity without any form. It's formless. It's primal. It's primal. And so by focusing on that mantra of Om and incorporating the deep inhales and exhales, you're connecting to a higher energy. You're connecting to a higher consciousness. Visualization of that symbol of Om within the mind's eye allows you to unite with that pranava. So closing the eyes, and allow the senses to come inward. And allow the breath to deepen. As the breath deepens, allow the mind and the thoughts to become calm. Inhale deep. Exhale deeply. As you inhale, hear the sound of Om internal. As you exhale, hear the internal sound of Om. As you inhale the sound of Om, see the symbol of Om within the mind's eye. As you exhale, see the symbol of Om within the mind's eye. Inhale, see and internalize the symbol and sound of Om as you inhale deeply. And as you exhale, see and internalize the sound of Om as you exhale deeply. Continue this on your own, focusing the mind, not attaching yourself to the thoughts, not attaching yourself to the body, but attaching yourself to that internal sound of Om and that symbol of Om within the mind's eye. See that symbol of Om as a golden symbol, light illuminating from the symbol of Om. Inhale deeply and exhale fully. the sound of Om. Exhaling the sound of Om. Om. Silently tell yourself, I'm not this body. Silently tell yourself, I'm not this mind. Silently tell yourself, I'm not these thoughts. Silently tell yourself, I'm not these emotions. Silently tell yourself, you are infinity, eternal, and everlasting. Inhale deeply for the sound of Om. Bringing the hands together, rubbing the hands together, building heat within the hands. Bring the hands over the eyes. Let the heat from the hands be absorbed into the eyes. Slowly open the eyes. Bring the hands onto the forehead, the top of the head, the back of the neck. Then bringing the hands together in prayer, bowing down, letting the forehead touch the thumbs, sending energy from the third eye through the fingertips, acknowledging the teachings and the teachers who have brought us these teachings from the past, the present, and those that are still yet to be revealed. Om Bolo Sadguru Bhagavan Ki Jai. Namaste. Thank you all so much for coming and sharing your meditation practice this morning with me. I will see you tomorrow, and have a